Hello everybody, welcome to Marketing Analytics course. This is Professor Sagato Chatterjee from VGSOM IIT Kharagpur who will be taking this course for you. The topic of module 3, this is week 3 session 1, the topic of module 3 is segmentation, targeting and positioning. So, in the last 2 weeks it was a little bit heavy, I can understand. This week will be a little bit lighter than the last 2 weeks. So, here we will talk about customer segmentation and targeting positioning. This is for something which is marketing 101, basics of marketing, and this is somewhere I have seen that many people, sometimes professors of reputed colleges as well, and probably practitioners also in many organizations have a little bit of understanding problem, and I have a few slides which talks about what segmentation, targeting, positioning is, and we will discuss about that. The methodology is probably less tough than the previous ones that we have talked about. So, we will have a session on that as well. So, be with me for this particular presentation. So, the first thing that we are talking about is segmentation and then targeting and then positioning. So, what is segmentation, targeting, positioning? Some of the content has been taken in this particular thing from the in the presentation has been taken from our classic book, Philip Kotler's book. We all follow that book, and that is a very good book. That is one thing that I would say. Then there are lots of other resources available and in the online domain which is freely available, and you can read about that from there as well. Some of the materials I have given in this particular video. So, let us say the major thing that I am interested to talk about is segmentation. So, segmentation, targeting, positioning is required because it becomes difficult for an individual or for some company to actually cater to many people. So, in segmentation what we do is, it is a methodology to create groups, smaller groups out of lots of consumers. How I will create those smaller groups? I will make sure that the people who are in the same group are closer to each other, and people who are in different groups are very different from each other. And then I decide whom I will target. Out of those various groups, I cannot actually cater to many people, I cater some of them, and then how I will target, what kind of offerings I will give, what kind of competing offerings that are already available, and how I can position myself in the jungle of competing offerings, so that I will be different from other people. So, that is something based on which this particular thing was created. Now, why that is important? One major reason is that many customers have different kind of preference. If you remember in the last video of conjoint analysis, I have shown that people who have healthcare insurance and people who do not have healthcare insurance have different kind of preference. People who have bank account and people who do not have bank account also have different kind of preference. People who have ambulance and who do not have ambulance facility local have different kind of preference, and obviously gender wise also they are different. So, people who are of different groups might have different kind of preference, and you have to know first thing is that who has what kind of preference. If you do not know that, then whatever you are trying to provide, whatever offerings you are trying to give to these customers will not actually solve their purpose. They might not even buy that, because that might not come at the top of their preference. So, given that kind of a situation, we have to find out segments. We have to find out which segment likes what, how they are different, what kind of characteristics they have, what kind of behavior they do, and etc. etc. Now, a classic question comes up is that so what? People are different, so what? Why can I not give something which will be suitable for everybody, or which will be in the middle ground? So, why can I actually ask for a truce and say that okay, you all of you guys come together, and whatever is the middle path, I will follow that. The problem of that kind of a methodology is something that I will be going to tell now. So, let us assume that you are talking about two groups, and you just close your eyes and think about that whether you like cold coffee or hot coffee. So, some of you, or let us iced tea or hot tea, which one you prefer most? So, there will be some people in my audience who actually like hot tea, and there will be some other people who will like iced tea. And let us say I take a pool and find out that okay, in my student base that I have 70% people who prefer hot tea and 30% people who prefer iced tea. And then during the day when the exam will happen, I thought that I will actually give a tea treat to my students. So, what I decided that okay, why don't I give 70%. So, I make 7 liters of hot tea with 3 liters of iced tea, mix them up and find out something and then give it to you. That should be preferred, because that is the middle path, that is how preference has been shown. Now, that will become a lukewarm tea, and that is something that you might not like. None of you, the hot tea guys, will probably go to a hot tea, they will probably pay 10 rupees and get hot tea from a local vendor, and the iced tea guy will pay 30 rupees and get a probably iced tea, and nobody will have my drinks, though they are free, though I am giving you lukewarm tea free of cost, probably will go there, because nobody wants that middle path. Middle path does not work, as simple as that. Now, then I can choose any one of you. I can choose 70 rupees, 70% guys or 30% guys. Now, I have a small problem here. Now, first of all is that there is a hot tea and iced tea. There are two different preferences that I have to understand. Now, I cannot create, I do not have the setup, or I do not have the capital to create both iced tea and hot tea. If I have that setup, that is the best option. Those who likes hot tea, they will raise their hand and I will give them hot tea. Then I will ask who likes iced tea, you will raise your hand and I will give you iced tea. Or probably I will have both the options in my hotel, and you come and pay a little bit of money and decide which one you like to have. The problem is that in most of the cases we do not have that much of resources available, that much of expertise available to actually cater both the segments or multiple segments. Then I have to choose one segment. Now, how will I choose? 70% prefers hot tea, 30% prefers iced tea. Should I give a hot tea? Common sense says yes, but a little bit of more common sense says that depends. What is the depends? This is a classic thing that we managers say, depends. What depends on what? It depends on the very first thing is the price. That even if what is the price of 1 cup of hot tea? 10 rupees. What is the price of 1 cup of iced tea? Let us say 40 rupees or something like that, 30-40 rupees. So, then whether 10 rupees and then comes margin, it is not exactly on price, it is on margin, that in that 10 rupees you might have 2 rupees of profit or 3 rupees of profit, and in this case probably you have if it is 30 rupees you might have probably 20 rupees of profit, I do not know. So, if that kind of a margin is also different, then 3 rupees into 70 people and 20 rupees into 30 people, which one is higher than the other, that becomes one thing. Now, the next thing that is important is also the resource availability. So, I know how to create hot tea, but I do not know how to create iced tea, or I might need a fridge and etc. for iced tea, and I might need only a micro oven or whatever, I do not know, some oven for hot tea. So, the amount of resources required for hot tea might be much less than amount of resources required for a iced tea. So, that becomes also one issue when you try to decide that whether you will sell hot tea or iced tea. So, all of this together creates a problem, and that is what we are trying to solve using segmentation, targeting and positioning. So, as I have shown here, there are two segments, yellow segment and blue segment. Yellow segment prefers attribute 1, which is price. Yellow segment, so beauty wise both are same probably, and the preference is a little bit more for the yellow segment than the blue. Blue segment is price sensitive and yellow segment is durability sensitive. So, preference given to various attributes, importance given to various attributes for these two segments are different. It is absolutely like whether you have healthcare insurance or not, that kind of a segment that we talked about in week 2. So, there are majorly 4 ways how to do segmentation. So, one thing that we have to understand properly, that segmentation is the process and segments are the outcome. So, if somebody asks you to create segments, you do not say that okay, it has to be a geographical segmentation or demographical segmentation and so on. You have to give me the outcome, the segments. So, you have to tell about what exactly this person is, what is his preference, what is his profile. If you create a human being, how will he lie, how will he behave, what will he wear, and etc. etc. Those kind of details has to be given when I talk about segments. When I talk about segmentation, then you can talk about okay, it's a demographic segmentation or whatever. So, majorly there are 4 segmentation methods: characteristics of the customers, demographic. So, we have created 2 more, demographic and geographic, both are characteristics of the customer, benefits sought by them, and systematic product related behavior. So, benefits sought by them is actually psychographic, and then systematic product related behaviors is behavioral. So, there are 4 types of segmentation, and when I am talking about systematic product related behavior, that can be different based on the purchasing behavior and based on the channel choice kind of behavior also. So, it can be so many behavior that you can track. So, as I told, based on what is market segment, a group of customers who share a similar set of needs and wants, and you should also understand, and they say different sets of needs and wants from different segment. That is something that also important. So, they are similar within and different outside. So, that is something that is important, and then these are the 4 methods as I told: geographic segmentation, demographic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, and behavioral segmentation. Now, this is where I actually, and I will talk about many things here, that that out of this 4 segmentation, people, then the marketing analytics people or people who have worked on database marketing and etc. with lots of data, they say that the previous 3 segmentation. So, as we have more and more data about a customer B, and if I can track the customer through the cookies, but how he works in the online world, in the www world, or how he behaves in my retail store, if I can track based on the overhead cameras, or let us say if I can have his purchasing behavior, all of these things if I have, then the segmentation should be done on based on the behavioral data. So, you should ideally, for all the marketing analytics purpose, if you have been asked to do a segmentation, you should do segmentation based on behavioral. Why? Because that is the thing that you do not ask somebody, that is the thing that nobody can manipulate, that is, or less can be very difficult to manipulate. That is something that is coming out, and that is something that is the closest towards the ultimate outcome. Your ultimate outcome is the purchase. Whatever is closest to that purchase, whatever behavior, is something that is important data. We will do all our segmentation and etc. based on that. And once we have created the segmentation, understand the technology, understand what I am trying to say. So, once I have done the segmentation using behavioral segmentation, I will name the segments using the geographic, demographic, and sometimes psychographic profile. I will do the segmentation based on behavioral segmentation. This is something is different from the classical marketing professors what they say or other practice. But in the industry, this is what people actually do, that we do the segmentation based on the behavioral data, and we create segments, and then when I have to identify the segment, if somebody comes in tomorrow and I have to identify whether he is falling in segment A or segment B and segment C, in that I will talk about geographic, demographic, and psychographics. So, all I am trying to say is that if I ask you create 4 segments for let us say the apparel buyers, and you have done the segmentation and you are defining the segment now. So, one segment is probably ethnic buyers, and you will say that ethnic buyers are somebody who are of, let us say, from 20 to 50 years of age, and they are mainly male and they will wear this and that, and they like Indian products, and they actually watch Indian movies more, and they go to Indian festivals, they celebrate Indian festivals more. If you actually talk about all of these things, then you are actually talking about the demographics, the psychographics of the person. Now, that is the outcome that should come from the behavioral pattern of the customers. You should not start with the geographic. You should not say that at first I will create a male versus female segmentation, or let us say state-wise, India state-wise segmentation, North Indian, South Indian, because there can be so many aspects where that kind of segmentation might not matter. For example, let us say preference towards education. Okay. So, whether you prefer a English medium school or a or whatever your local language, that medium school, that in that kind of a situation, probably whether you are North Indian or South Indian might not matter. Everybody who are middle class, upper class, and etc. might prefer a English medium school, because that there are certain things. So, in that case, probably gender is also not a very important variable. The moment the so all I am trying to say is that if you do a gender based segmentation, or if you do a geographical segmentation, that might not be relevant. So, what is relevant is the data that comes from the behavior. You go and check that how people are searching about various schools in Google, if you have that data, if you can track that data. How people are searching when they are planning to, it's a long one time or two time probably they do that. After that they make their kids go to a particular school, and that is where they continue. So, how parents are searching, which kind of names are coming at the top, or which kind of these things they are following, which kind of, let us say, Facebook pages and etc. they are following, which schools name are coming more commonly in the Facebook talkings. That is something that you can, if you can track that, and then you can see that how that particular person, the Facebook profiles guy, is behaving in other aspects. Then you will know that how I can do behavioral segmentation. Other can let us say you can also do, let us say I have my customers who are already there in my school, all my students in this case. You should not say customers, they are students, but if you they are not for profit making. But let us say in a other situation, if it is hospital and etc., which is a profit making organization, or there can be some other services, let us say airlines, which is a profit making organization, then you can actually track the customer's behavior, that okay, so what kind of tickets he is buying, whether he is actually reacting to my promotional offers, whether he is buying in certain routes, whether he prefers only non-stop airlines, or he also prefers some one or two stoppages in between if the prices are low. How much is the price sensitivity? All of these things are behavioral data, the price sensitivity, the preference towards one stop or two stop, or the or whether he only travels during the holiday seasons or the festival seasons and etc. All of this data is behavioral data. So, we can track that, and then I can see that okay, people who are traveling during the holidays, whether I can go back and check their geography from where to where they are traveling. Then I know that okay, these are the guys who are actually staying away from their home and they are traveling back to their home, and the to and fro will give me an idea that where their home is and where their house or where their job location is. So, that kind of thing can be done after you create the segmentation, that these guys are holiday travelers or probably festival travelers, and then there can be certain travelers who are, let us say, business travelers who travel only for 2 days, 3 days and some distance and then come back. So, the travel durations are small but very frequent. So, these guys are business travelers. Then business travelers can be of different type. They can travel in business class, they can travel in economic class. Their preference will also be different. So, all of this segmentation that we are doing, when the data is available in an ample level, we are doing behavioral segmentation. We are not doing geographic, demographic or psychographic segmentation, but still it was there. So, what is demographic segmentation? We can do segmentation based on age, life stage, gender, income, generation, race and culture, and so on. For demographics, for geographic, we also do based on country, region, country size, city or state, which kind of state, etc. For behavioral, we do like type of purchase decision or decision making practice, decision making unit, and etc. And what kind of decision maker you are, whether you are an initiator or whether you are the final purchase maker, and etc. And social psychological is your attitude, your lifestyle, your preferences towards your life view, what you want to be, what you want to do for people or for your family, for yourself, etc. etc. All this comes in the psychographic. So, for example, one of the key thing that we talk about in a demographic profile, when we actually do segmentation and we are defining the segments, one of the key thing while defining the segments we use is the generation. So, generation is the life stage when you when you were born. For example, baby boomers born in 1946 to 64, and then generation X, generation Y, generation Z. These are US data. In India, we actually lag these people around by 10 to 20 years, depending on which part of India it is. It will lag from 10 to 20 years from this baby boomers X, Y, Z. So, these are all generations that we have seen. They are further better definition. So, how they are different? The baby boomers were later people, and then the telephone came, and then some people have seen the www I would say era, and then now people have seen the mobile internet era. So, things have changed over time. And we also talk about cohort. What is cohort? Cohort is something where people have similar kind of life experiences. It's not about when they were born or when they are not born. It is about whether they have had similar kind of life experiences or not. For example, there is a depression cohort. There was a World War II cohort, and there is there is a World War I. So, their born was a little bit ahead of that. But when they came to age, when they become consumers, what they experienced is something that matters. So, for example, let us say I and somebody else who have born in different time period can be in the same cohort if we are from different country. So, for example, India is lagging, as I told that India is lagging a little bit. So, India's guy who is 20 years age and some other less developed countries guy who is of 40 years age might be experiencing this thing at the same time, some facilities at the same time. So, they are in the same cohort. So, depression cohort, post-war cohort, boomers, Gen X, Gen Y cohort. Gen Y cohort are people who are millennials. So, who were born in 1997 to 1977 to 1997, and they came to age in around 90s or 2000. They have seen the 2K problem, and they had their share of population is very high. 30% of the overall population are these people. They like free content. They write community oriented stuff. They like telecommuting more. They like everything social, or they like things which are wireless, because wireless technology is something that they have seen. And what they dislike anonymous mass marketing. So, this kind of people you cannot do mass marketing. People who are of previous age probably still watch TV or radio and etc. For them mass marketing works, but for this kind of people who are more in the internet or probably has shifted from radio or TV to internet, for them targeted marketing works more. So, anonymous mass marketing is something. Anonymous is another thing. They want security. So, anonymous is something that they do not like at all, and they do not like beaten paths, so which has been already done, or restricted access. For example, there were problem with this net neutrality and etc. So, there are lots of people who raise their voice. All these people you will see that they are of generation Y people, most of the people who have raised their voice. And then the millennial cohorts, who are big shoppers, who still now co-purchase with their family members, mostly parents, but they have a say. So, there was a time when we were kids, probably around 20 or 30 years back, we did not have much say in the purchasing, but now that information is available and millennials have information with their hand, they are using their tab and etc. They are watching TV and whatever various other things from the very little age. They have an opinion about many things, and people have understood that we should give importance to the opinions of the kids as well. So when they have opinions, they are co-purchasing with their parents, true, but they are putting their say in what they will buy and they will not buy. So this kind of behavior is matter. So whether they were born, whether they are male or female doesn't matter, but they have an opinion. This is something, this is a behavior that matters. So all information is experienced electronically by these people. They love multitasking. They are co-creators. So co-creation is a marketing concept that is coming up. You will see that new tools are saying that okay, you design your own t-shirt, you design it, I will print it and give it to you. That's all is my job. You design your own card or mug or whatever, and I will just print it and give it to you. It's co-creation. So co-creation is something that is coming up. So people are saying that okay, you come up and you say something and we will create a course together, rather than, or we will create a product offerings together in Subway and etc. You will say that people are saying okay, you tell me what kind of food items I will give, what kind of sauce I will put, you tell me, because I do not know and I want to give you those choice. Co-creation is related with consumer empowerment, that you are empowering customer to take the choice. He will say that what he will like. Now you will not dictate him. So that kind of things millennials like, and that is something that is being given. Another thing that is becoming more and more important in marketing is green marketing. So that because these millennials are socially responsible, they are saying that okay, I do not want to have an AC, or I do not want to actually consume something which creates any kind of environmental problem. So this social responsibility all of a sudden has become a major issue, because millennials actually they behave like that. They do not like concrete jungle. They like something which is more environmental. So socially responsible consumption has become an important factor. These are the people who have experienced all of these things together. So global warming was an issue, because global warming actually affecting the atmosphere, actually affecting the outside world is not something that has happened 20 years back. When we were kids, we didn't experience that much, but now kids are experiencing that and they are listening to that, and information is more and more available in their tip of the fingers. So that's why they are more aware, they were more responsible, and that has actually affecting in their behavior also. Now behavior is something that we can track. Their internal things is very difficult to track. In a large scale, it is further difficult to track. So that's why I do behavioral segmentation. Another important thing that we try to say is life stage or gender. So gender, and to be specific in gender, I would talk about female as a gender. Female as a gender is very lucrative, or I would say very attractive for a marketer. Why? Because female has multiple life stages, and those life stages are very different from men, and from these changes of life stages, their preference, their thinking process, what they give more importance, what they give less importance, changes heavily, and more so for a woman who is in an urban environment. For example, when he is a singleton, no spouse, no children, under 45, then he goes for a marriage. So under 45 is not the case for India. In India, it's probably under 25, and then he goes for a marriage. So pre-marriage, and even probably when you are a kid versus when you are a teenager, male versus female face those teenage related issues, and they have a different life experience, different kind of views about the life. You will see that women become very mature. There are difference between how a male child and a female child gets the maturity level in terms of cognitive ability, emotional quotient, and etc. All of these things also impacts their behavior. Then when you marry, and then all of your decisions all of a sudden from me oriented, it becomes we oriented. So composite relationship or spouse, at this point you do not have a relation, do not have a kid, but you try to take decisions which is good for both rather than one single person, and it is seen more for female than male. It has been very well researched that Female are more community oriented, male are more, I would say, independent in that way. So female decisions are always we decisions, and that is something that marketers actually capture. You will see lots of ads like Saffola ad. People, they target the female. They say that, okay, you are the woman of the family and you have to decide that what kind of food should come, what kind of I would say even what kind of mosquito coil will actually work in your family. That is something that is a woman's decision. One thing is they are homemakers, another thing is they are a we people. So they actually do not think about themselves, they think about many people. And then you have a first child, all of a sudden you becomes very huge importance you start giving on hygiene, huge importance you start giving on, let's say, sanitation and etc etc. Then children goes to school, your time, so in the time crunch is high here, the time crunch goes down here, your probably your I would say evenings are more free, not evenings, at least the afternoons are more free. And when the afternoons are free, you have to do something. So you go or and watch probably a TV serial or go and shop or you work. So you have to actually create solution, or you have to think that this kind of a, there is some open space that is available and how I can capture that open space of that person, and probably some I would say some amount that they are willing to pay for that open space also, open time space I am trying to say. That is something that the marketers identify. And then kids become independent. Sometimes the second kid comes up. If the second kid comes up, the level of, I would say, importance on sanitation and hygiene that you have given in the first kid is not so strong in second kid, because in second kid's case, you know. So for example, when I will give a personal example. When I had my first kid, probably I have only one kid. When I had my kid, my wife, when she was deciding that whether we'll go to travel in some place, the major important factor for her to choose the hotel was nothing else but the food, whether she can go and cook in the kitchen or not. Now big hotels will not give you that options probably, but all these bed and breakfast kind of things will give you that option. So this is something that big hotels can think about, that if they have to capture this kind of people, they should give the option of, if somebody wants to come into the kitchen properly and then want to make his own food, they should give that option also. That, because otherwise people like us will not go to a big hotel, will go to a good bed and breakfast when we have a small kid, because that is something that is most important for a mother who is a mom of a first kid. Then who are mom of second kid probably will not be that much focused on the kids preferences, because he knows that, okay, it will manage, I have experienced it, it's not so scary anymore, I will manage it. So all I'm trying to say is women life stage is very important thing. At one point of time, Thomas Cook, it is not there anymore, they actually created a holiday package targeted towards women. So cooking classes, cycle trails, spas, and then this women group, the group of women who will actually avail these services, depending on the group, depending on the age and preference and etc. of the behavior of the woman, the offerings are also different. So cooking class is not something that a young woman will want to have, very young or very college going woman group will want to go for a spa probably, or probably want to go for some pubs and etc etc. Some liquor testing and etc etc. On the other hand, a woman who is more a family person, some 4 or 5 people, or probably elderly persons might want to go to historical places or places which are more religious, and middle-aged people might want to go for cooking classes and cycle trails and etc. So depending on which kind of woman you are, which age group, which life stage and etc. So all of these things I am talking about, that these are all geographical segmentation, but it's actually geographical segments. The behavior is similar, and you are creating segments like this based on geography, based on demography and etc. So I will stop at this point and I will continue on discussing about segmentation methods and targeting positioning in the next video. Thank you for being with me. We'll continue in the next video.